Hello, my Grimling.
Oh, and with all this, I thought I was in the wrong place. I bid you well.
Hey, Grimlings! So, today is part 2 of my Lords of Salem review. This is the book review, not the movie. And, yeah. So, I'm just going to show you the back of the book because it is a library book. It's The Lords of Salem by Rob Zombie with B.K. Evanson. Kind of co-writing, I guess, or doing the most of it. Wow. Okay, if you've watched my review of The Lords of Salem, you'll know that it's an art house film, very atmospheric. A lot of the scares come from the fact that Heidi has no idea what's going on around her, you know. It's a good movie, and certainly I think cinematically it's one of the best that Rob Zombie's ever done. It's certainly the best from him that I've seen. But it's not much on scares, like legit scares. And it is very thematic. It's very heavy on atmosphere, very heavy on symbols, very heavy on just outright weird imagery. So the book. Okay, so the book is supposed to be, supposedly the book is closer to Rob Zombie's original script. And let me tell you, if this book was a movie as it is, it would probably scare me shitless. I mean, because you've got women straight up murdering like their significant others, and then just completely mutilating themselves and then murdering people, and you've got the haunting, the supernatural element is so much more present. Heidi is much more aware of it. She still doesn't know what's going on. She still thinks it's like a nightmare or something, but it's very obvious that there is still something hugely weird going on. It's almost like what was that movie? Friggin' The Gift, with the water turning into brown sludge and shit. You know, that level of weird. Or, yeah. I mean, it's just, wow. And it is so uncomfortable. I'm Catholic. I was raised as a Baptist. So there's things that I can laugh at. You know, there's a list of jokes that I find hilarious. They're terrible. Borderline blasphemy, if not outright blasphemy. But they're still funny. This is just so freaking awkward, because like there's a scene where these ladies are praying to Satan, and it's very obviously there's a part in the book, and it's also in the movie, but it's more obvious in the book, where some of the ladies are praying to the devil, and it's very obviously a rip off of the Lord's Prayer. And so okay, major pet peeve that this and the movie both really drew out of me. upside down crosses are not satanic. Yeah, scene kids, emo kids, goth kids who are trying to be like super edgy, oh, it's a satanic cross. No, it's not. It's St. Peter's cross. The story goes that shortly after, the story goes that St. Peter was arrested for being a Christian, and that he was condemned to death by crucifixion. And that he requested to be crucified upside down because he did not feel he was worthy to die in the same manner as his Lord and Savior. Being crucified upside down is supposed to be even more painful and unpleasant than being crucified right side up, which is quite literally torture, you know. I mean, it's not a nice way to die. So, you know. So yeah, the upside down crucifix has been a symbol of Christianity forever, basically. And I know a lot of people don't realize this, because you know what? Protestants, freaking Protestants, don't know this. Like, I don't know what it is. You guys, like, Protestants, like, split with the Catholic Church and all of a sudden lost everything. Like, you completely forgot all the really good stuff. You know? I mean, okay, crucifixion of St. Peter is not in the Bible. But it's still kind of important, you know, to Christianity. Yeah. And see, and I think the reason why most Protestants don't realize this is because Protestants, especially non-Lutherans, tend to have a little more knowledge of things like this. The Anglican Church, the ones closer to Catholicism in their practice, they tend to be a lot more aware, because they still have a connection to their roots. They still pay attention to this whole concept of saints, whereas, especially, you know, I grew up Baptist, and similar denominations, they view saints as being vaguely pagan and idolatrous, and so they pay attention to this stuff. And I think that's a crying shame, because for one thing, huge swaths of medieval art are about this section of Christianity. There's a lot of medieval Renaissance, post-Renaissance art that is saints and apostles and biblical figures that most Protestants don't actually know anything about. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that I mean, I understand how the confusion could arise, but that's not what it is. I don't even know if there is a satanic cross. I've never looked because I've never really been interested in it. Why would I be? You know, I'm quite happily Catholic. But it is a huge theme in this book and in the movie, and that these are historical witches. These are the kind of witches that people thought were there in Salem, Massachusetts. The devil-worshipping whores of Satan. And let's face it, okay? The actual witches of Salem in the 1600s, were social outcasts and people who just weren't looked upon very well. So, you know, so it is kind of one of those things that's like, I enjoyed the movie, I enjoyed the book, but at the same time, the historian in me is just kind of like dying. Because I guarantee you, not a single one of those people would have been okay with that. um, and it's just wild. So, yeah, like I said, the book is much more intense. There's a lot more imagery that's just kind of scary. It's a lot bigger, too. The movie has of course you have your witches in the movie, and you have they're the ones who, you know, kind of set everything in motion. But in the book, this is so much bigger. I mean, there's nuns, freaking satanic nuns in a church. I could make so many jokes. I have to do a review of a book. It's Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. If you have not read it, you have got to. It is quite possibly the funniest apocalypse story ever. It really is hilarious. But yeah, it's so much bigger, and like, and I told you there were like ladies like murdering their significant others, and you know, and it's just like, wow, okay. There's a lot more of the original witches too. The witches in Salem that kind of kick everything off. You see a lot more of them. And it's just, you know, it. Of course, the book is always better than the movie, because books are a imaginative medium. You read them, and your mind fills in the blanks. Whereas with film, all you have is what you see and what you hear. So it's not quite the same, you know. I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about with this, because I'm probably not going to read the book again. You know, I've watched the movie a few times, and I probably will watch it a few more times, because it is a pretty decent movie. But I probably won't read the book again, even though it is a good book, because it's really just not my style. One thing, it has really short chapters. It has a lot of them. I think like the total chapter count is like 50 something. But each chapter is only like 2 or 3 pages long, so it goes by really fast. For as fast as it went by, I probably should have finished it sooner, but I was kind of busy. Yeah. So, anyway, I was hoping to get an unboxing video done this week, because my horror block should be arriving any day now. But according to UPS tracking, it won't be here until Saturday? No, Friday. It won't be here till Friday. So next week, Gremlings, hopefully there will be an unboxing. And I'm really hoping that my package from Dorothy comes. For those of you who don't know, Dorothy is an absolutely awesome rock band. I am going to put a link to some of their music in the box below. And I totally want you guys to check them out. They are fantastic. This is their first album ever. Previously, they had released a 5-song LP. So yeah, like I said, I totally encourage you guys to check them out. They're amazing. I love them dearly, and stay spooky, Gremlings, and keep it real.
was more than just a great set of boobs. It was also an incredible pair of legs.